Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, you grow hard out what you wanna be. Step 4, fuck everybody, just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Nope. There we go. Sorry about that. Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge of financial freedom. Today, I've got a big headline about the Chime IPO. I have been watching that quite closely. Looks like they will be launching at about $27. So we'll dive on into that article here in just a second. But let's get you prepped for some success today. Yep. I don't know what's been going on. My PC hasn't been liking all of my inputs. So every once in a while, I got to reset it manually, do the unplug, plug it back in thing. It might be time for an upgrade here soon. So let's get you prepped for some success today real quick. And then we will dive on into some Bitcoin. We will dive into that Chime IPO. And if you got any alt requests today, go ahead and drop them in the chat early, and we will get to those in just a second. As always, I got that stock heat map pulled up. You can see we've got a little bit of some downside off of the close yesterday. We've got Apple sitting down 1.92, looking towards the upside this morning, up 0.27. We've got Nvidia sitting down 0.78 in the morning, continuing to see a little downside, down 0.77. We've got Berkshire Hathaway down 0.61 and sitting down 0.37 this morning. We've got Amazon sitting down 2.03%, and the pre-market sitting towards the downside as well, down 0.29. We've got Eli Lilly sitting in that neutral range for yesterday's close, up 0.18. This morning, looking a little bit towards the downside, down 0.44. ExxonMobil sitting up 1.95 off of its close, looking a little bit to the downside this morning though, down 0.33. We've got Tesla closing in that neutral range yesterday, up 0.1. And this morning, seeing some decent sell-off, down 1.22. We've got P&G sitting in that neutral range this morning, up 0.07 after a close towards the downside of 0.45. We've got Microsoft looking towards the upside off of its close, 0.36, and to the upside this morning, 0.19. We've also got Google sitting down 0.68 and continuing with some sell-off this morning, down 0.43. We've got Meta down 1.18 and continuing to see some sell-off in the pre-market, down 0.33. Let's hop over to the crypto side of things because we're also looking a little bit red there. We've got quite a bit of big red bubbles on this daily, with Bitcoin sitting down 1.5%, We got Ethereum down 0.3, XRP down 2.5. We've got BNB down 0.04, Solana down 3.4. We've got Dogecoin down 5.1. Tron sitting down 5.7. We've got Cardano down 3.9%. We've got Hyperliquid sitting down 1.2. Sui down 4.6. Chainlink down 4.8. We've got Avalanche down 4.5. Stellar Lumens taking a spot in that market cap from Bitcoin Cash, sitting down 1.6, while Bitcoin Cash is sitting down 3.3. We've got Leo token down 1.7. TON looking quite neutral on the weekly, the daily, and the hourly here. We've got Shiba Inu sitting down 3.2%. We've got HBAR sitting down 5.5%. For the fear and greeds today, we do have the stock market sitting with no change, still sitting at 62 and some light greed. For the crypto side of things, we're still sitting in that light greed range, down a point from yesterday, sitting at 71. Let's hop over to that liquidation heat map for the day. We do have quite a bit of liquidity towards the upside. That's going to be those highs at $111,000. Let's zoom it on out. Take a look at the 3-day, see where that explosive move might take us. With some good data today, because we do have a heavy data drop coming out here at 8:30 Eastern time. This again, looking back at the highs, $111,000. Let's zoom that on out just a little bit more. Take a look at that 2-week, because we still do have a little bit of liquidity. That was, I believe it was the 1 week, with a little bit of liquidity towards the downside at about that $105,000 mark. So an area to the downside to kind of watch for if we do sweep some of that topside liquidity, depending on today's data drop. Let's hop over to that economic calendar, get into that data drop for today, and then we'll say good morning to the chat, because I see quite a bit of people in here and y'all are having some fun in there. We do have core PPI month over month and core PPI year over year at 8:30 Eastern time. We're also going to get PPI month over month and year over year as well. Initial jobless claims coming out at that same time frame. So a very, very heavy data drop for today. We are looking like that month over month is coming in positive after a negative from the prior month over month. Year over year, looking a little bit flat there. Still kind of a little bit negative on that PPI. We'll kind of have to see what today's data drop brings, but if that does come in neutral on that year over year with a nice little increase on that month over month, does bode for a little bit of some upside if you can see these initial jobless claims coming in at 240,000 when the prior was 247. Some positive data coming in on that front. We do have PPI month over month and year over year also looking a little bit negative. We do have that year over year with that increase from 2.4 to 2 forecasted to be 2.6. So a little bit of some negative data on that front, while the month over month would be heading from negative 0.5 to 0.2 on that forecast. Something to keep your eye out for the morning. Let's scrolling on down just a little bit. Looks like light data for the rest of the day. We do have some data we will be watching for tomorrow as well. We get quite a bit of data coming out of that European Union tomorrow morning. Industrial production month over month and their balance of trade. Something to kind of watch for in that European time zone. Scrolled on down a little bit more. We got tomorrow, that Michigan consumer sentiment, a big market mover and something I will definitely be keeping my eye on. Let's hop over to that Bitcoin chart and then say good morning to the chat. We've been moving quite heavily. We got Jesse saying good morning, that he might be at the doctor's office. when I go live. I hope everything's okay there, Jesse. We've got Crypto Coin Mindset in here nice and early. Ah, don't know what you're doing up this early, sir, but I hope you are all caffeinated because I know this is not your time frame. We've got, let's see, he says, yep, unfortunately, believe me, plenty of coffee incoming. Hey, I got my coffee right here. I'm in the same boat as you. I'm a little bit more caffeinated than you, though. So we got Jay Violet in here as well. Good evening to you, madam. We've got K Diggity saying, morning, everyone. Good morning to you, K Diggity. We've got Crypto Billy in here. Good morning. We will see you at the morning motivational video after the show. I've got that redirect set up like always. Let's see. Dual sound is awesome. Yeah, I was having a little bit of an issue there. My PC sound was also going through while I was doing that, while that intro was playing. So just having some problems with the PC after the move. I don't know what's been going on. I might have to tear it apart this weekend and then really dive back into it. I might have to get a new motherboard here soon. So Crypto Coin Mindset saying still nothing, and then woo, we got sound. So I'm glad I caught that quite quickly. We got Darren Does Things in here. Good morning to you, sir. We've got Mark Dutch. Good morning to you. And scrolling on down, we got Al Jr. in here. Good morning. Jesse saying he's currently waiting on the doctor. Well, I hope everything's okay, Jesse. Let's hop into this Bitcoin chart because we did see a new all-time high made, and then we saw that nice big dip back down towards our fair value gap, got that nice little bounce off of our midline before we made that push back up towards our golden pocket on our fib extensions. We're now sitting below a key level I wanted to kind of see us hold as some support if we were gonna remain a little bit bullish here. We do have an area below us at that $106,000 mark that I will be keeping my eye on for a potential bounce area. We do also have a short-term zone to kind of watch for. That's right above that. That's coming in right here at this wick. Going to be about 106,500. So that's a little short-term bounce zone to kind of watch for on that daily. All right, let's zoom this on in just a little bit because you can kind of see both the MACD and the prime oscillator moving quite sideways here as we continue to have green money flow on the daily, but continue to see decreased volume. Let's scroll this on into the 4 hour. As you can kind of see here, that 4 hour sitting below our indicator line here on the MACD, continuing to see a little bit of some downside movement here, but could potentially start to see that move a little bit sideways with the momentum. You do have your volume continuing to decrease here on the 4 hour as well. Prime oscillator sitting in the red, continuing to the downside as our money flow just hit that red here. So waiting to see if we can kind of find some support around that 106,800 to about $106,000. That's that area I'm kind of watching for. Potential for a little bit of some bouncing in that range. If we are unable to hold up that $106,000 mark, we have all of that liquidity sitting right down here below all of these wicks. That was that $105,000 point that we saw on that liquidation heat map. That'd be a nice sweep of the lows. We'll kind of have to see if we do that with some of today's data. Let's zoom this on in to that 1 hour. As you can see, this 1 hour is sitting below our zero line with that MACD. We do have a reversal signal that has flashed on that prime oscillator, but money flow continuing to come out and volume continuing to decrease here. You did have a clipping twice on that True 7, but money flow still in the red, so we'll kind of have to watch that short-term money flow to see if we get that move back into the positive, try to make a little bit of a retest of that $108,000 point. Zoom this on in, take a look at that 15 minute showing that there might be a little more downside to come as you're getting that lower high here on the MACD. We are getting that curvature back towards our indicator line. Prime oscillator also sitting quite similar, made equal highs on that, and we are sitting with some red money flow. Prime oscillator curving back down, but volume just starting to peak up. So waiting to see if we continue to see that increase of volume, but money flow still coming out would mean larger selling pressure. We do have a little bit of a bouncing zone below us, so keep your eye on that $106,000 range to 106,800. That's that key areas I'm kind of watching for today. We'll kind of have to see if that $106,000 holds up. All right. Any alt requests for me? Go ahead, drop them in the chat. I know we got Billion here and we've got Jesse. So probably going to need to take a look at some ADA. I will get that one on the list for sure. Any other assets you want me to take a look at, go ahead, drop them in the chat. I was going to take a look at Circle today because I have been seeing something quite interesting. Might get a chance to do some buy-in on that. I did miss out on that initial one with my order not filling at $31. And then was going to take a look at gold as well. But let's dive into that news article first. Has Chime IPO price at $27 above expected range. Zoom that on in so you can kind of read along with me. Sorry, there was no dark mode on this one, so you're just going to have to deal with that blind and white light there. We got SWE requested by K Diggity. Can definitely take a look at that one. We got Chime Financial late Wednesday said it priced its initial public offering at $27, above the expected range of $24 to $26 for the much anticipated trading debut. The fintech is going public Thursday at a time when recent financial IPOs have had mixed results. The online banking company is offering 32 million shares. Chime will trade on the NASDAQ under the symbol CHYM. The company had planned to raise $800 million at a $10.5 billion market cap, according to the IPO tracking firm Renaissance Capital. Chime had previously raised funding at a much higher valuation of $25 billion. Chime Financial runs an app that offers payment and other services such as payday advances. Its primary users are consumers who make less than $100,000 a year. The average member is 36 years old and is part of a demographic that Chime says is not served well by traditional banks. The prospectus says Chime has 8.6 million active members, growing 82% since March of 2022. The average member makes 54 transactions per month, of which 75% are purchases with Chime branded debit and credit cards. The firm, which earns interchange fees from purchase paid by credit card networks, says 70% of transactions are for essentials such as food, groceries, gasoline, utilities, and 67% of users make Chime their primary financial service. I have seen a little bit of data on this where you do see if a user makes it past a year using Chime, their retention rate is 90%. They are not making a profit just yet. They're still sitting in the red here, but this could greatly change with a little bit more money to do some more financial services. Most of their financial services are run through actual banks, and they're kind of trying to branch out here to be able to do quite a bit more, boost that retention rate, kind of get a little more of that younger crowd in there. So I will be watching this IPO today. I'm gonna throw a little bit of money at it just to be honest. Maybe see if it goes to the upside. You know, we've had some mixed results on some of these IPOs in the fintech sector, as it said at the beginning, but Chime is a big one, so I'll definitely be watching that. maybe sell out at some profit today, maybe double down on that if it ends up going towards the downside. All right, we had a few alt requests with Sui, and we had Ada as well. Any other requests we got, go ahead, drop them in the chat for me. Let me get that moved over to live chat there in case I missed out on anything. Let's see. Jesse sleeping in, says Crypto Billy. No, Jesse at the doctor. Let's see. They finally going to fix him, says Mark Dutch. Jesus, Dutch. Hey. Let's see. Yeah, hope to fix my muscle issues, Billy. Okay. Well, I hope that goes well, Jesse. Hope they figure something out for you. Scrolling on down. See if we got anything else. Wow, 90% retention after a year. Yeah, it's quite insane. I know plenty of my friends that use Chime as their bank. You know, I am in that younger group. I'm 29 years old. I worked really, really hard, though, to get one of my buddies to switch from Chime just because, we're kind of getting to that age range where you might want an actual institution where you can go in and talk to someone, maybe set up a 401k with them, all of that. So did a little bit of work, got one of them to switch, but a bunch of my buddies still use Chime and see no reason to switch. So it has a very good retention rate. We've got gold making some moves back towards the upside, sitting above the 236 here on our fib retracements and looking to try to push back up towards the highs that we made last push off of the 382 here back to $3,420. I will be watching that quite closely. We do have a bit of a resistance range up here, ranging all the way from 3,480 to about that 3,420 mark. A broad range for some resistance towards the upside as we're trying to make a little bit of some support here at the 382. You do have a bearish divergence, which has stacked up here. You do see the money flow still in the red, volume quite low here. But that 4 hour looking like you might need to see a little bit of some cool off on your prime oscillator and your MACD before you get that real pushback towards the upside. Let's zoom that on in towards the 1 hour. As you can see here on the 1 hour, you're starting to get that sideways momentum here on your prime oscillator. MACD still waiting for a little more cool off or sideways movement before you get that next push towards the upside. Money flow sitting in the green here, but volume still quite low on the hourly. Zoom that on in. Take a look at that 15 minute getting that nice clean bounce off of the 236. Waiting to kind of see if we can break the highs here at 3,300 and about $80. You do have money flow still sitting in the green, but your volume is extremely low here. Waiting to kind of see if this MACD cross of our indicator line below the zero line leads to some more sideways momentum here above the 236 before we really get that data drop this morning. If it is a negative data drop, look for some upside movements on gold. I did say I wanted to take a look at Circle. As you can see, got that nice big push towards the upside. We are trading sideways in a CME gap here. Let me get that drawn out. I don't know why I didn't move from the phone that I had drawn it on yesterday. We are trading sideways in this fair value gap. Let me get it drawn out, or CME gap. Let me get it drawn out, my CME gap colors, and lock it there. As you can kind of see, the 236 here is some resistance. We're trying to get back above the midline of the CME gap and then really see it closed completely. It has been closed. Let me get that. There we go. This CME gap, though, does look like we're seeing it, the bottom side of it being some strong support, but your money flow is sitting in the red here on the 15 minute. kind of seeing that increase of volume start to falter just a bit. You do see that MACD getting some sideways momentum here, waiting to see if it turns that that indicator line into some resistance here, as the prime oscillator is also looking towards the downside here. You've got two bearish divergences that have stacked up, and we're just looking at some sideways momentum between our 50% line and the 236 here, waiting to see if this comes in as some resistance all over again. If it does, we've got this nice CME gap towards the downside as well. That's going to be the top side. Let me get that drawn out a little bit better. That was also off of the phone. There we go. That bottom side coming in at $94.15, an area to kind of watch for if we lose the 236 and come down with some strength. This is quite overbought in my opinion, but could still continue to see some upside. All right, let's hop over to some of those alt requests. We had ADA and SWE. Go ahead, drop a few more in the chat for me. So we got some assets to look at for today. Let's zoom ADA on out to that 4 hour, see where we're looking at here. Looks like golden pocket, gonna be some resistance all over again. We got that strong move above it, and then we really rejected here off of looks like that 400 moving average, lost it with some strength. You've got your MACD and prime oscillator both looking towards the downside here. Wait and see if we can get some bouncing back down here at the lows, looking at 65 cents where we see all of this wick in action from the lows to try to see some support. If not, you do have 62 cents being that next bouncing point to really watch for. We got ZBEC requested by Jesse. We'll get that one on the list there. All right. We are sitting below the golden pocket for that. So waiting to see if we can get that push back up after a move down. We do see your money flow being in the red on ADA as well. Let's take a look at the 1 hour. 1 hour getting a little bit of some sideways momentum on your MACD. Your prime oscillator switching to the green, but still looking like it's getting that curvature back down. Your True 7 has not clipped out yet. Your volume is continuing to decrease on ADA as well. So looking like you might at least retest the lows of this. See if we can sweep some of that liquidity that's probably sitting underneath all of that. Let's take a look at that 15-minute and see what the morning might be bringing our way here. As you can kind of see, your MACD and prime oscillator both getting a little bit of some sideways momentum here, but that MACD sitting below our indicator line again, getting that curvature back down. You've got your prime oscillator moving a little bit sideways here as your volume has picked up, but your money flow still in the red. True 7 on its way back down, waiting for a clip out. We have seen several bullish divergences stacked up here with several reversal signals, but really waiting for that strong bouncing point with a liquidity sweep towards the downside. That's where I'd really look at that 65 cents to kind of see that nice pickup of liquidity before you get that move back up towards our golden pocket. Golden pocket really being a strong resistance area, and very strong resistance coming in at about 73 cents for ADA. Let's take a look at SWE. Got ADA knocked off the list. Scroll it on down. Take a look at SWE. SWE losing one of those levels I had wanted to see us hold. 50% line on our fibs, looking like some resistance right now. Let's scroll it on out and then zoom it on in so you can see that chart a little bit better. We do have a decent sideways range for SWE with the golden pocket coming in as the bottom, and our 382 here looking like the big topping area. We do have some nice sweeps of liquidity towards the upside here with some very strong resistance coming in at about $3.76. Bottom side support looking like $3.17. That'd be that area to kind of watch for as we've broken below $3.35 there. Let's zoom this on in, take a look at that 1 hour, because the 4 hour looking quite similar to ADA and Bitcoin here, as that MACD line has broken below our indicator line with some strong movements towards the downside, and prime oscillator looking quite the same. Volume holding up quite steady here, so looking like quite a bit of selling pressure has stepped in. Let's zoom this on in, get that better look there. We've got our very strong resistance here at our 50% line on our fibs, looking towards the downside. We do have that MACD and prime oscillator both getting that curvature back down here. We had our MACD line trying to make that move towards our indicator line here, but really started curving back down before it could make too much of a move towards that. We did print some light red candles and starting to print some heavy red candles all over again here on the hourly. True 7 clipped out, looking a little bit towards the upside here. Volume decreasing, money flow in the red here as we're getting this rollover of our prime oscillator. Would try to look for some support areas back down at that 317 before you get that stronger move up there. I see Alex Moto in the chat saying good morning, everyone. Good morning to you. Crypto coin mindset asking for LTC. We can definitely take a look at that one. We've got Kyle Fields in here as well. Good morning to you, Kyle. Sweet. I was in a scalp short overnight on Shui, closed out and took the money. Not a bad move there. Could have held that $3.33 as some support. Looking like we lost it, and making some stronger moves back down here. Whoa. That hourly candle just got quite a bit bigger there as we're continuing that move back down. Prime oscillator just switched from green to heavy red there, so looking a little bit more to the downside this morning. We do have the 15-minute breaking back below our indicator line here as we remain below the 0 line and waiting to see that strong bottoming point. You do have the prime oscillator with some divergences that have stacked up. You've got several reversal signals that have flashed as well, just like on ADA here. Really watching that money flow, volume increasing, and money flow still in the red here, as well as your prime oscillator continues to get that move back down. Waiting to kind of see if we can find some strong support, maybe sweep some of the liquidity that's probably sitting underneath this 317 mark. As you can see, we found some very strong support at that area. If anyone was in a long from this area here, you could kind of expect some stop losses set below this area. So that's another thing to kind of watch for. Waiting on this morning's data drops though. Let's see. Keith, you and Jimmy hook up. Oh, are you talking about the show that we did the other day, or you got something else in the works there, Keith? Let's take a look at ZBEC. I know that one's not on my list. I'm not sure where I've taken a look at it on. Let's get crypto pulled up. There we go. ZBEC. I know I've taken a look at it on something. Oh, took a look at it on this chart actually. Let's zoom this on out. Take a look at the 4 hour, see what we might be looking for. Zoom it on out a little bit further. Really respecting these fib extension lines quite nicely. You got that 4,236 being some rejection. You tried to hold up the 3,618 and then really lost all of that. Got that strong move back down to the 2,618, and we're seeing that come in as some resistance here on the 4 hour. I would expect some liquidity to be sitting under 0.037 for ZBEC, as that was that strong move back up towards the 2,618 there. A video for the newbie educational. Well, I'm looking forward to that one. I still need to talk to Buck for you for that blockchain video that you were wanting to do on the newbie series. So I will reach out to him today and see if I can get y'all set up for that one. We do have the 1618, which would be that next support area to kind of watch for if we continue on some downside. We are making lower highs and lower lows throughout this whole range here, as you can kind of see. Higher high, lower high, lower high, lower high. This looking like a lower high and making lower lows throughout this as well. Starting to see a little bit of some slowdown on that, but that 1618 looks like a nice strong point to potentially see some bouncing all over again. We did get some nice whipsaw action from the 2618 to the 1618 here before we got that strong move up. Looking like that 2618 is resistance all over again, so look back down towards that 1618. Let's zoom this on in, take a look at the hourly looking quite similar to everything else we've looked at, with that break below our indicator line on the MACD line and indicator line both getting that curvature back down. Prime oscillator getting that curvature back down. Volume starting to increase here, but waiting to see if that comes with some money flow. We got that 15-minute and the morning looking like you could potentially see a nice little move back up before you continue to see some strong downside here. That would probably be in preparation for today's data drop at 8:30 this morning. We do have that prime oscillator with 2 reversal signals that have flashed. Your True 7 has clipped out. Your volume's extremely low here, waiting on some money flow to come in. We do have a bit of an area to come back down to. That's going to be the lows and the highs of this range. Let's get that short-term horizontal ray drawn out, coming through all of that. As you can kind of see here, we got that nice test between all of this. We got the support here, the rejection there. So I'd kind of wait to see if in the short term we can come back to 0042414. So nice little potential bouncing point for ZBEC. All right, we've got about 9 minutes left. We got some time to take a look at LTC. Let's see, any other alt requests after that? Go ahead, drop them in the chat for me. I got about time for one more. Let's scroll it on down. There we go. There's LTC. LTC breaking some of those areas I'd wanted to see hold as well. We got some nice strong support off of this area throughout the range. We saw it as some resistance as well. Looking to try to see if we're gonna come back to the golden pocket there. Let's zoom it on out, take a look to 4 hour and see what we're looking at for the macro. We do have your MACD and prime oscillator looking quite similar to everything else we've looked at. Kind of just beating the same drum for all of these alts. We're getting that break below our indicator line getting that curve back down. We've got your prime oscillator getting quite close to bottoming here, but your volume has decreased quite a bit. Looking to potentially hold our golden pocket here. Golden pocket coming in at that $87 mark, 87 and about 50 cents to kind of watch for a bit of some bouncing in this area. You have a bit of an order block down here as well. That would be a nice retest area. I would also expect some liquidity to be sitting below this golden pocket, coming in at about that $86 mark. Let's zoom this on in, take a look at the 1 hour, see what the 1 hour is looking like here. 1 hour sitting light red on our prime oscillator. No reversal signals that have flashed as some of those other assets had seen. So waiting to see if we can continue to see that decrease of volume before we see that increase of money flow back down at that golden pocket there. We do have that liquidity that was sitting underneath it. Like I was saying, MACD still on its way towards the downside here. not looking like it's going to stop anytime soon. We do have that 15-minute getting that curvature back down, just like we had seen on some of these other assets. Getting that curvature back down, breaking our indicator line below our zero line after making a lower high here. We've got your prime oscillator with a bullish divergence that has stacked up here. Probably going to see a few one or two more of those stack up here as your volume has increased, but your money flow has not increased. You do have two reversals that have flashed. I would wait for at least another two before seeing some nice positive moves towards the upside. Everything kind of getting a little bit oversold here. You do have that oversold that is flashed up here at the area we were kind of watching for some support at 89.52, as we've lost that, looking a little bit lower. Let's see, can we look at Alchemy Pay? I'm not sure what the ticker on that is, but we'll type it up and see if we can find it for you, Kyle. Alchemy. Let's see, Alchemy Pay on Coinbase. All right, let's zoom this on out. Take a look at the macro here. I don't know how new this project is, so we're going to take a look at it on the weekly here. Looking like we found some nice strong support where we saw that initial launching. Let's get that sideways movement, that sideways horizontal line drawn out here. As you can kind of see, we're finding some nice strong support on that area. Let's get a fib drawn out from highs to the lows. That's a crazy wick there on the weekly. From the high to the low down here, looking like that 236 is some resistance. We will lock that and hide it as well, so we can get a shorter term time frame fib for you. Let's zoom this on in towards the daily and see what we're looking for there. Scroll it on out just a bit. Let's see, that's the high of our range. So let's go from that last low to this new high here, where we got the low coming in right at that support level we were looking at, and the high coming in there, looking like that platinum pocket is a little bit of some resistance here. This does see quite a bit of whipsaw action, looking like we broke below that platinum pocket with some strength after rejecting off of our golden pocket there. Kind of looking like you might come all the way back down to those very strong lows, about 4 cents there. So let's zoom this on in past the daily, take a look at what we're looking at, because MACD getting that curvature back down here on the daily, prime oscillator getting the curvature back down, money flow sitting in the red, and volume decreasing quite heavily. Let's zoom this on in, take a look at that 1 hour. Platinum pocket looking like that resistance there as well. We did get some nice bouncing action off of it before we lost it with some strength there. Lost it with some strength, looking to try to find our low of this range. We do have that MACD and prime oscillator looking towards the downside here, as your money flow has decreased quite heavily. So let's try to find a bit of a short-term bouncing point for you. We do have some lows down here that could be a potential area to kind of look for. I would expect some liquidity to be sitting underneath this area as well. So let's get a shorter time frame drawn out from that point. That's coming in at about 0.19. I would expect some liquidity underneath that, so a nice little sweep of the lows before we try to get that pushback up towards the platinum pocket there. We do have a big area towards the downside, which is our order block here, where we saw quite a bit of sideways momentum. Bottom side coming in at about 0.17. So a nice little range to see some bouncing at. Let's take a look at that 15-minute and in the morning, because that 15-minute and the morning looking quite similar to everything else here. All of the alts looking quite similar. We do have that MACD line breaking below our indicator line here. Prime oscillator getting that curvature back down as money flow continues to come out, but volume is increasing. So looking like that increase of volume is coming with quite a bit of selling pressure here. Looking for a sweep of the lows, just like we were looking at on several of these assets, trying to see if we can clear out some of the liquidity before we really get that data drop this morning at 8:30. All right, it's about time to wind that show down. See y'all at the morning motivational video here in just a second. I appreciate every single one of you for showing up, dealing with that little bit of a mic issue this morning. Let's see. Nothing else there. Hope everyone has a great day today. Make sure to tune in to the rest of the shows on the Piper Academy. We've got that morning market report at 10 a.m. Make sure to tune on in there. OC's doing a great job at his takeover, and Piper should be back next week for all of those heavy data drops to break them on down. We've got trading with OC at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure to tune into that one. If you're trying to have some fun in the evenings, do a little bit of learning, try to get some brushing up done on your TA skills. We've also got some markets after dark with Lunar Beaches Crypto, another great place for you late night folk. I'm always asleep at that one, but I hear it's quite a bit of fun. Sometimes I do a little bit of rewatching, and quite a bit happens there. I know it's Thursday for him, and he's going to be doing another great show. So tune into that one, and I will see y'all at the morning motivational video. Make sure to wake up, because today's going to be a good day.